The RCMP have just taken action to enforce a court injunction in British Columbia. They ended up arresting 14 people who were actively blockading TransCanada's rightful access to land in order to build a $6.2 billion pipeline from Dawson's Creek to Kitimat. This illegal blockade is one of many that we have seen in the past year, and this time it was organized by the hereditary chiefs of a BC Indigenous band. With no electoral mandate whatsoever, these hereditary chiefs are calling on their subjects to act unlawfully against a natural gas pipeline. I wonder if these bands are getting any money from the Rockefeller Foundation. Unfortunately, since the First Nations Financial Transparency Act was kneecapped by the Trudeau government, there really is no way of telling. Protests have been organized across the country, and I'm going to one of them in Calgary, Alberta. Going through the online event pages, it looks like a counter-protest has already been set up and planned by the pro-oil and gas crowd. I'm excited to hear from both sides of the demonstration, so I'm going to pack up my things and head out now.
What brings you to this protest today?
I'm trying to teach my son about the difference between good and evil, and there isn't a point in using metaphor when it's bare in front of us.
So the difference between good and evil, these police officers right here that are protecting...
That are abducting Indigenous people off of their sovereign lands.
So do you want to tell these police officers to quit protecting you?
No, I want to tell them to stop abducting Indigenous activists. Release all political prisoners. Get your boots off of Indigenous soil.
Sorry, it is.
To grow up with clean water and air.
You think that pipeline is going to affect? You think that pipeline is going to affect the Bow River in the watershed we're living in?
I think that pipeline will affect waters and air across the planet for generations to come.
That one pipeline that's providing...
All pipelines, all oil extraction. We're in an acute climate crisis. This is fucking ridiculous.
F*** yourself! F*** yourself! F*** yourself!
Excuse me. Hi, could I ask you who you're telling to go f*** themselves?
Oh, the guy that's looking at me saying, build that pipe, build that pipe. Build that pipe, build that pipe. Do you know who can buy Crown land?
Canadians. Yes, if it's authorized by the government, Canadians can buy Crown land.
People that can take Aboriginal land and make it sellable is the Crown. I think that's Prince George Rupert or something.
The Crown is Queen Elizabeth II.
Right? So, I don't know, you're going to have to do some homework and then come back to me.
You just told those folks over there to go back to Europe. Do you think all of them have been to Europe even?
Oh, you never know, right? Because you guys are all sons of, immigrants.
Sons of what?
Immigrants. So you guys are bringing your problems to our country and leaving all these wars and bloody baths on our land.
Canada is your country?
Yes, this is our country. It's always been for millions of years.
Do these white folk behind us not have a right to be here?
They have a right to be here. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to cause drama and all this ruckus over a pipeline, well, you know.
Isn't it the Indigenous folks up in northern BC that are causing the ruckus with the blockade?
They're not causing no ruckus.
Were 14 people not arrested for breaking the law?
They're entering treaty land without consent of the chiefs, and they're not supposed to be on. They're not supposed to trespass on native land.
The hereditary chiefs that have no electoral authority whatsoever.
It's still in a treaty. You're not supposed to trespass against the native land.
So they are hereditary chiefs, though. They have not been elected by anyone. They're just deciding on your behalf.
The whole people are one chief, not just one chief that wants a pipeline. It's the people that don't want the pipeline.
So the hereditary chiefs don't want a pipeline, correct?
Well, everybody down where I come from, we don't support the pipeline, but some do. But there's people like us that don't support this pipeline, and this is why there's violence because of these people.
You think?
And the RCMP.
The RCMP are violent.
Oh yeah. You see the video? Watch it. Learn. You got to educate yourself on this before you speak on it. Thank you.
What brings you out to the protest today?
I just really believe that Indigenous rights are important, and the fact that they're militantly taking Indigenous out of their land is disgusting.
You think that they're actually removing Indigenous folks from the area up there?
Yeah, these blockades are put in place to, have, I don't know.
It is the First Nations that are blockading, though, aren't they not?
Yeah, the First Nations are blockading, and the government is coming in militantly taking them out, and I absolutely I want to stand for that. This is not a democracy. This is not freedom. This is not anything. Like the fact that Indigenous...
Canada's not a democracy.
Well, not when you're militantly taking people out, and these are treaties that have been, sanctioned for hundreds of years, and now what, for nothing? Like, I don't know. I just believe Indigenous rights matter as much as corporations, especially.
What brings you to the protest today?
Just solidarity, I guess.
With
I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
You can't pronounce the name?
I'm not sure.
Just solidarity in general.
With just like the native peoples that haven't really had their rights respected.
So the Indigenous land that we're on right now, the Tsuut'ina, they are a member of the Indigenous Resource Council, which supports pipelines like this. Do you think that it's reasonable to be protesting on their treaty territory against pipelines that they support?
I'm not really sure.
Do you use a wood stove?
Yes, I do.
Use a wood stove in your
I
house?
do. Yes.
That's the only thing that heats your house?
Yes, I do.
How did you get to this rally today?
How did I got on my car? That doesn't have nothing.
You got in a car?
We're all guilty. We all need to change over. We know that. We got 10 years to do that.
What about that coat, that polyester?
Yeah, all of us are guilty. All of us are guilty. Yeah, all of us are guilty. We need to change over. We need to live more sustainably. All of us. All of us. At some point, you got a choice of that, or you got catastrophic climate change. Do you want more floods? Do you want more earthquakes caused by fracking?
Sorry, you think that pipe...
Fracking causes earthquakes. You want, a whole of BC to go into the ocean?
You think that this pipeline is going to cause BC to go into the ocean?
All the water that's contaminated. Is that enough already?
BC is going to fall into the ocean because of this pipeline.
No, not because of this pipeline. This pipeline means continued fracking in BC, continued earthquakes in BC.
Can you tell me, do you think they're hypocrites for not supporting oil and gas when their homes are most definitely heated by natural gas?
Absolutely. All their clothing is made from polyester, synthetic fibers. All these officers are wearing synthetic fibers. We all depend on oil and gas. It just has to be harvested responsibly and ethically. And that's not happening when we bring in oil and gas, especially oil from Saudi Arabia and Venezuela, countries that don't respect human rights and decency. It's wrong.
What brings you out to the protest?
I'm pro-oil and gas, and we need a pipeline for Canada, all of Canada, and we're being hand-tied by our government and by paid U.S. organizations, I believe.
I see you're rolling this up. It's about 1 o'clock. I'm wondering, the oil and gas side is cleared out. Do you think they're going back to work?
Yeah, I think so. I've been here since before. I got here early, but I think that's where most people went, because the time for this was supposed to be, I think, from what I was reading, from noon till 1 o'clock, and I think people come in and put in an appearance, and then they're headed back to work.
So I'm just leaving the anti-Canada, anti-oil and gas rally that was held by Indigenous groups outside of Trans-Canada here in Calgary, Alberta on Tuesday. The counter-protesters, the pro-oil and gas side of things, they ended up leaving at about 1 o'clock when they had to go back to work. Of course, the left-wing protesters, they're still out in full force, and the police are still dutifully protecting them, even though they're shouting expletives against the RCMP and the police forces of Canada. For the Rebel.media, this is Keean Bexte. Thanks for watching. You're only going to get this kind of coverage here at the Rebel, so be sure to like this video and subscribe to us. Click that little notification bell beside the subscribe button. It really helps me out.